Good evening. Welcome to the Red Raven Coaches Show here from Wendy's in downtown Coffeyville. I'm Shane Neal. Chris Foyne alongside with me, as you can hear, not at 100%, so we brought backup tonight, and we're joined by Coach Herkelman as we get the show started tonight. Coach, this time of the year is always my favorite when we have these meaningful games, obviously at the end of the year, where everything's on the line every single night, but it's even more fun to talk about, obviously, what an environment in Nellis last night. Two great teams going head-to-head, and your team finds a way to get a big win over Barton.
Yeah, it was a fun game. I thought both teams played well. Like you would expect, two good teams going at it, and at the end of the year, you want to be playing your best basketball. And I thought the whole game, we came out good, they came out good, they got the lead, we came back, we built a lead in second half, and we're able to hang on. But it was a close game all the way throughout.
Absolutely. Coach, I know when you play a team like Barton and a team with that kind of talent, you kind of pick your poison on the defensive end, but Dre Kendall ended up shooting 4 of 17 from the field, hit a big shot late. But he's the kind of player, obviously. He had 8 assists and found a way to impact the game in other ways, but I thought you did a good job defending him and preventing him from really taking over the game in terms of scoring the basketball.
We were trying to keep him out of the lane. He does a lot of work. He's so quick, so aggressive, fast. He loves to get in the lane, create things. He gets fouled a lot. Our mission last night was to try to keep him out of the lane, and we did a pretty good job of that. We forced him into some tough shots when he got in there. And he found his teammates. I mean, Moss had a great night, but shutting down both those guys is a tall task. And if you could shut down one, you're going to give yourself a chance. And we were able to do that last night.
Absolutely. And you kind of read my mind with a team like Barton and all the really good teams in this league. But we said it before the game started that it was going to take 40 tough, intense minutes to beat Barton. You don't play 25 minutes and beat Barton. You don't play 30 minutes and beat Barton. It was going to take 40, and there were times last night where the team went up 8, 9 points, 10 points, and Barton punched back because that's what good teams do.
Yep.
But I think it showed this group's resilience, this group's toughness, that every time Barton closed the gap to 1, 2, 4, they had a response. They had a big shot. They had a big stop. They had a big offensive foul drawn, whatever have you. But your team stepped up and seemed to, take advantage of those moments when they came.
Yeah, I thought we did a great job of that because, it was never over even until the final, 6 seconds of the game. And Trent Ruth, I thought, did a great job of just stepping up last night and making some big plays. Brian's been that guy for us for the last month and a half. And last night, Trent, I thought, did a great job. He had a good game up there at Barton. But he played really well last night. Hit some big shots when, they closed the gap down to, like say, 1 or 2, 3, and, he'd hit a 3. Or we'd get somebody driving to the basket and get a foul called. And, we always kept them a little bit at bay. It was never a comfortable lead at all the way through the second half. But I felt like we were playing well enough, and the guys were playing with a lot of confidence. I just felt like there was going to be a way we were going to figure out how to win this game.
Absolutely. Most of the time the Red Ravens have the basketball. Either Griffith, Ruth, or Taylor usually have it. And when those three combine for 4 turnovers in a 40-minute game against a defense like that, you're going to win a whole lot of basketball games.
Yeah, especially with the way that we played up there. We had 23 turnovers up at their place, and we talked about that the other day. And obviously we emphasized it with our players, but we knew that they were going to come out aggressive, trying to trap. They were trying to trap Brian on all ball screens. Then they tried to do other trapping as the game went on. We were a lot more prepared for it this game with our spacing and how we were going to attack it and our game plan going into it. I thought the guys did a great job. Our goal was actually to get 10 or less turnovers, and that was going to be a tall task too, just because of the way Barton plays and as aggressive as they were, and we had 11. And so I was pretty happy with that because our goal on the whole year is trying to get 12, and I lowered it down 2 more on the fellas to try to keep it at 10 or less. So having 11, I was pretty pleased with that. I thought we handled their pressure really well, their trapping really well. We made good decisions out of it, got good shots, and found a way to win.
Absolutely. You mentioned, obviously, the way that they defended Brian, and we talked about that with Trent after the game. I don't want it to come across as, spinning a narrative that Brian doesn't perform in big games, but the way that Callie and Barton have defended him this year, they've tried to take him out of games.
Sure.
And so he had to kind of adjust the way he played. He's a very aggressive scorer. We know that. But I thought last night he was a lot more selective with when he attacked and when he knew when to pass the ball, when he knew when to take his chances, and found a way to finish with 20 points despite being double-teamed almost every time he had the ball.
Yeah, I mean, teams like even Pratt did it. Every time he came off a ball screen, they were trying to trap him. The game last night they were. So some of the actions where he normally gets into a ball screen, we were putting Trent in those ball screens because he wasn't getting double teamed, and then he was able to find Brian in a different place where they weren't able to go get the trap on him. So anytime, though, we had Brian in an action where he was getting a double team, I just told him, you got to expect it. You got to go attack that forward's hip. Sometimes he got the call because he got knocked around pretty good on those, but he handled it pretty good.
Yeah, and I think we're at the point now where obviously, like you alluded to, good players, good scorers in this league in March, they're going to be double teamed.
Yeah.
There's not many there's not many top 10 players in this conference that you're going to defend one-on-one in the Region 6 tournament. So I thought it was impressive that Brian, he's obviously very aggressively wired, and that's why he's the player that he is. But to see after 2 years here in this program and 2 years with this team, having that IQ of when's a good opportunity to go get a bucket, when's an opportunity to find Trent or find Justin or find Daniel, I mean, I think that's the biggest difference from him freshman year to sophomore year.
There is no question. He's matured that way. Last year at times he'd try to hunt up shots. This year I get a little irritated when he doesn't. Because he's built that confidence in me to be able to go get buckets. But for the most part, he makes good decisions while he's doing that. And just like last night, there was a few times when I was rewatching the game today where he drove it in and they collapsed on him hard, and then he'd find Justin on the wing, and Justin hit an open shot. He found Trent a couple times. And so just having that maturity to, instead of thinking, I got to go get this shot, okay, somebody else has got a better one.
Yeah. And you mentioned, of course, the end of that game felt very similar to the end of the Pratt game in the sense that we saw Trent hit a shot to put you up 3 with 45 seconds to go. We saw Justin hit a big shot to put you up 2 scores with about a minute and a half to play. Brian had a big and 1 and a huge 3 to end the first half. I know that was a big shot to put you up 2 scores at the break. Daniel had the dunk and the breakaway to, kind of put the icing on there, the exclamation point, if you will. But it feels like, when we talked about it, when a game is on the line, it's great. If you have a guy that steps up in those moments, you're a good team. If you have 2 guys that step up in those moments, you're a great team. It feels like this team has 3, 4, 5 guys that really embrace those moments and want the ball with the game on the line.
Yeah, we got back to what we've talked about. When we have our most success is when we have multiple guys in double figures. Last night we had 5 guys in double figures. And Rashid, it was impressive that he got in double figures because he only played 3.5 minutes in the first half. We're just so much better when he's on the floor, and he gets a couple of those cheap little fouls, and then he makes a couple on his own, like you're going to, because he's an aggressive physical player, but he's got to stay out of foul trouble in this postseason. He's a valuable guy to us on the floor, and but for him to get the numbers that he had last night in the limited time that he was on the floor is impressive.
I was going to say, Coach, you read my mind, because I think with a player like Rashid, like you said, only played 16 minutes last night, but when those 16 minutes he was on the floor, he was the best player on the floor.
Yeah, he was.
I know that's mixed feelings for you on the bench, because I'm sure you're happy that he's making plays to help you win a game, but at the same time, you're like, I'd love for you to be out there for 30, 32.
He and I have talked about it so many times, and he knows it, and he's just got to have a little more self-discipline on some of those plays. Like, he got the first one where he dropped his shoulder, and the kid, he hit him pretty good, but at times the officiating's been inconsistent. Like couple games ago when he and the big fella from Seward County were just banging on each other and they wouldn't call anything. Well, then last night he goes to do that same kind of play and the guy falls and he gets a foul called on him. So I'm like, okay, you got to learn from that. And then his second foul was the guy's shooting a 3 and he stepped into him and he did make contact and those are ones that he doesn't need to get.
Yeah.
He's just got to be smarter so he can continue to play out there instead of, getting a little bit too close to the fella.
Absolutely. And I know that obviously at this point in the year, we talk about it all the time. 30 games into the year, teams are not going to very often hide what their game plan is, hide what they're planning to do. Going into this Region 6 tournament, every team in this league knows what Rashid Kuda is capable of now.
Yeah.
Back in December, maybe they didn't. Now they do. Every single team in this league, when they match up with you, they're going to try and get Rashid in foul trouble.
No question.
And that's another thing that obviously I think is important, obviously keeping him out of foul trouble, but him kind of understanding that message. If they're going to come at you, and you got to make sure that you don't put yourself in that position to get that call.
Yeah, just having the good discipline. He made a play in practice the other day where his teammate got beat and he went across the lane. He was out of position, and I was standing on the baseline. He fouled a guy, and I said, "That's a foul. That's a foul that you can't get." And he goes, "Well, he was going to go score." I said, "Well, sometimes you just got to make the decision that, okay, well, they beat us on that play. And it's more important for you to stay on the floor and not foul than to pick up that cheap foul right there and have to sit down."
Yeah.
And so that was the case last night. And I thought, for him only playing 3.5 minutes in the first half and for us to have the lead at halftime, I was pretty pleased. And I told him second half, as long as you stay out of foul trouble, you're staying in the game because you got to have a lot of energy to you.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and I think you just brought up a great point where so many of these athletes, so many of these guys on your team are just hyper competitive, and like you alluded to, want to win every single play, want to win every single possession. That's a great mentality to have. But you mentioned obviously in the big picture scheme of a 40-minute playoff game that's going to come, in less than a week. If you're up 6 late first half and Rashid's got a foul, like you said, sometimes maybe you got to just have that moment of, I'm just going to let him score here and, protect myself for the second half because I'm going to be more needed there.
Yeah, no question. And hopefully, he keeps telling me he's learning, and he's a great kid, and I know he is, and he only wants to do the best for what's for the team. But like I said before, we're just a lot better when he's on the floor.
Absolutely. And, we've talked about it before when the Indy game comes to mind where he was in some trouble and so was Charles, but the depth you have behind him really allows, obviously, like we've talked about a number of times, you want Rashid out there for 30 minutes if you can.
Yeah.
But to have Charles Caporaso, who's a high IQ veteran in this league with size, with athleticism, with finishing ability in the paint, to have a guy like Relia Nagulich, who's really, I thought, done a great job when he's thrown into that spot this year. To have a guy even like Daniel Tomboy, probably not a 5 in any sense of the imagination, but he has the athleticism, he has the aggressiveness that if you need him for 5-6 minutes down there, he could do it. So you really look at it, and, Coach, you have 4 or 5 guys on this roster that you feel okay playing the 5, which obviously, like we said, you want Rashid out there as much as you can, but it gives you options, which in a 40-minute game, options is the most valuable weapon.
Yeah, we've been playing Relia at the 5. Charles was hurt. He was playing the 5, and last night Charles got in foul trouble. He had 3 fouls in the first half. And so he and Daniel were out there together, and those two have learned to play well together out there. Relia does the best he can playing the 5 spot, and and we make the most of it when we have to.
I think it's interesting that early in the season, Coach, Relia and Daniel were kind of flip-flopping who was the starting 4 every single night. And now, you said it, they play in the same lineup a lot, and they've really learned how to mesh well together. So it's kind of an interesting kind of arc there where 2 guys that were competing for a spot at the start of the year now play really well together when they're out there.
Yeah, and Daniel emerged into that spot where, I was alternating them as starters, but, when Daniel got to the point where he's the second leading rebounder in the conference, and as physical as he is, and he's a smart player defensively. He's a guy that plays physical like Rashid does, but he's just a little bit smarter in the way that he goes about it, and he stays out of foul trouble for the most part. Last night he got 4 fouls, but he can play physical, but he's just smart about it. But the way he rebounds the ball, for me, that's just a big value in having him on the floor as much as possible.
Big win for the Ravens over Barton, 89-85. They will be the 2 seed in the Region 6 tournament. Our Red Raven Coaches Show live from Wendy's in downtown Coffeyville. Let's take a 3-minute timeout. We'll have more with Coach right after this here on US 98 in the Red Raven Sports Network. Choach's show back here from Wendy's in downtown Coffeyville. We're continuing our conversation with the head men's coach, Jay Herkelman, as the Ravens will be the 2 seed for the region tournament coming up, which starts this weekend. But, Coach, I talked about it a little bit with Coach Bailey last night, but kind of a unique, not a unique position, I guess, but a good position to find yourself in where you get some rest, you get a couple days to recover, get some guys, some treatment, get them ready to go for the postseason. And obviously you won't know your opponent until Saturday night, but what's really going to be the approach these next 3 days of having this weekend off and not really knowing who you're going to play on Tuesday?
Yeah, a lot of it for me, just having the experience of making some runs late into March is getting as much rest as you can. You want your guys rested. There's not a lot of new stuff you're doing at this time of year. A lot of it's just repetition stuff and shooting. Today we took off because it was such a hard-fought game. Yep. Normally on Thursdays we lift and shoot. We don't usually do a whole lot, but today I just gave them completely off, knowing we didn't play till next Tuesday. And then we'll practice tomorrow, and then we'll take Saturday off, and then we'll go hard Sunday and Monday, because at that point we'll know who we're going to be playing. It's going to be the winner of either Garden City and Independence game. And so at that point, we're familiar with both teams. We'll get re-familiar with them, on Sunday and Monday, and then play on Tuesday.
Absolutely. I'm always curious your thoughts, and I know you're a confident guy, and I know you believe in this team, and you've said that all year long. But we talk all the time in sports, not just in basketball, but in the NFL, when the wild card team goes on a run, or in college basketball when, the team that played in the first 4, maybe the 11 seed that gets a win, gets the win over the 6 seed. I think there is a science to teams with momentum, teams that have played, teams that maybe have a little bit less rust to kick off, have a chance of, gaining some steam. And you're going to play a team that had played 2 days earlier, and you look at that and you could say, well, they could be a little bit tired, but at the same time, they just played 40 minutes together, and they're probably going to be clicking a little bit. So what's going to be the key to coming out strong at Nellis, which you get a home crowd, but coming out strong and making sure you control the tempo early?
Yeah, just knowing the importance of the game. I mean, there will be some new kind of nerves, at the beginning of the game, because it's the postseason. It's the March Madness of it. It's just, when you lose, you're done. And, so that there's that kind of nervousness that'll go on. But once you get into the game, after the first probably 5 minutes, that stuff goes away. And then you're doing what you've been doing for 30 games. At that point, on Monday, we'll have close to had 90 practices. At this time of year, the rest is definitely, I think, an advantage. They're going to play on Saturday, but having that rest and the practice time that we're going to get is going to be, I hope, advantageous. And plus, we get to play at home.
Absolutely, and that's I know that's something that both teams are looking forward to. But to have sophomore night last night and their last regular season home game, but to know that you're going to get one more game at Nellis Hall, and to know that it's going to be a great crowd, and whether it's Garden City or Independence, I think the fans are going to be excited for that matchup because it's two talented teams coming into town with the season on the line, like you said, and to have that comfort and have that knowledge 5 days in advance. We're going to be back at home. We're going to be able to sleep in our beds, go through our routine. That's a huge advantage in itself.
Yeah, and just being able to, the guys were able to enjoy that win last night and then have the day off today and relax. And, I'm sure they're walking around campus and the other students were like, man, that was an awesome game last night. And they get a chance to enjoy that rather than having to jump right into, okay, who are we playing Saturday? Right. This is our focus. And so that's pretty cool for them. They've earned it. When you finish in the top 4, you've earned that right to have that first round bye, and then you got to go take care of your work the rest of the way.
No doubt. And you mentioned obviously we talked about sophomore night last night, and we've talked all the time about this group and what they've meant to this program. And I know we honored them before the game last night, but to have Brian and Charles and Des, Kemboy, guys that have been with the program for multiple years, and then you bring in a leader like Justin Taylor. Coach, every sophomore class I feel like is a special class for this school and for your team and your program, but this class really has done just about everything you could ask them to do.
Yeah, we've had a lot of special ones over the years, and the one thing this group hasn't accomplished a championship yet. And so that's what this group is after. Over the years, I've been able to, in that opening statements, talk about, they won a conference championship or have this to their, resume. This group, we had a rough year last year. And the group that I brought back, there was a reason I brought them back. They were great guys and good players, obviously, but guys I wanted to be around. Last night the challenge to them was, hey, you sophomores, you haven't beaten Barton County. Last year, Barton had a great year. A great year. They, beat us all 3 times. We had a great game with them up at their place in the region tournament, but they beat us. And then when they beat us in the first round up at first time we played them up at their place this year. And so that was the challenge. And afterwards, believe me, those sophomores, they were pretty excited about getting that win, and they didn't want that hanging over them, when they left here. And, more than likely, if things go right, there's a good chance we're probably going to play each other again.
No doubt. And I think you mentioned one of my favorite parts about this team in the sophomore class is just how hyper competitive they are, and how you can tell that they love to win, they love to get the wins, but the losses sit with them more.
Yeah.
And you can tell that with this team, when they lost to Hutchinson at home, when they lost to Garden City at home, when they went to Barton and lost a hard-fought game, when they went to Cali and lost a hard-fought game, those ones sit with those guys more than the Butler win at Nellis or the Independence comeback win on the road. Great wins, and I'm sure it was a fun time in the locker room, but you can tell these guys are more anti-losing than they are pro-winning, which is a cool thing to see.
Well, and after the Dodge City game, the Dodge City guards played really good out at their place. And, they took it to us. And that's what I talked about afterwards in the locker room, how they were the more aggressive team. They took it at us. And our guards didn't like hearing that. And I made sure I emphasized it a few more times because they didn't like hearing it. And I said, let's just make sure come Wednesday that we're the more aggressive team. And then you look at the way that Brian and Trent and Justin played last night, and they took that to heart. And it was inside them. It fueled them for last night. And they didn't want Kendall to have a good game last night, and they did a great job with him. Yeah, he hit that big 3 late. But, that was a shot that we were willing, because he's not a high percentage three-point shooter, and it was a 4-point game at the time. And he come down and shot that night. And when he shot it, I was okay with it. And he made it, but I was like, oh, okay, let's go get the rebound, and then it went in. But I thought all night we did a pretty good job on him.
Yeah, and that's kind of my last point here, as we kind of put a bow on this one. But obviously, 30 games into a season, Coach, a freshman in this league doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
The freshmen are sophomores now at this point, and the sophomores are juniors. So I know inexperience doesn't mean as much as it did 4 months ago. But to have these guys that have been there, that have gone through the struggles, that have gone through the losses, that remember that, and now to have all the 50, 60 games of experience. Justin Taylor brings D1 experience, and then you have all these sophomores that have played and felt the highs of winning and felt the lows of losing. To have all those guys for this region tournament run and what you hope is a national tournament run, I think that's about all you could ask for, to pair them with very talented freshmen as well.
Yeah, we're playing good right now. We have confidence. That's a big thing going into the postseason. Whichever team we end up playing, they'll be ready to go. If it's Independence, it's going to be a rival. If it's Garden City, it's going to be, hey, the last time we played these guys was when we were sick and didn't get a practice and then had to play them, and they played well. Garden City played well. They hit 14 threes in that game, but we were down some fellas, and so they'll have some prideful, hopefully revenge coming in that game. And then, if you get to the Final Four, then anybody you play, it's going to be tough. Coach Turner said that today. He said, I looked at your guys' bracket, and it's like, holy cow, it's going to, just like you said at the beginning, it's going to be a tough road. But if you're on the other side of the bracket, it's just as tough. Yep. It's just what it is in the Jayhawk Conference, and that's why you got to advance as far as you can. That's why last night's game was important, to put us in the second seed, for the possible, if we don't win the region tournament, to potentially get an at-large bid. The year we won the national championship, we got in as an at-large team, and then went and won the national championship. So, you got to put yourself in that position, though. And we took a step in that direction last night by getting that win, finishing second in the Jayhawk Conference, and now we got to do our part in the postseason.
Coach, last thing I have for you, we'll get into the official opponent, obviously, next week when we know who it is, but whether it's Indy or Garden, you're going to have a very talented point guard and wing duo. With Garden, it's Moutier and it's Antonio Choach, and with Indy, it's Chante Tramble, who's just back from injury, and it's Chris Dockery. So a little bit different play styles there, but you're going to see a really good one and a really good wing with some depth around them. But obviously, a little bit there in game planning, there's going to be a really good one and a really good three, no matter who you play.
Yeah. Most teams got a good point guard in this league.
It's true.
So whoever you're playing, in the next round, whoever we're going to play, they're going to have a really good point guard.
That's true.
And probably a pretty good wing. So it's just they've gotten to that point where they know that. And, we got some tough guys that, Trent, he did a good job of guarding Moss as well as you can. Daniel was on Moss some last night. Moss is so talented. Probably going to be the player of the year in the conference. He's the leading rebounder in the conference. He's averaging over 17 a game on a very good team. But he was good last year, and he's come back and gotten even better. But those guys like taking on those challenges. Daniel, he isn't fazed by anything. He's like, you just tell me what you want me to do, Coach, and I've got your back. And I love that. And Rashid's the same way. And so, we're going to play good players, and in order to win this region, you're going to have to beat good teams, and I think our team is going to be capable of doing that.
Red Ravens have earned a weekend off with a first-round bye. They'll take on the winner of Garden City and Independence on Tuesday night at Nellis Hall. Jay Herkelman good enough to join us after the big win over Barton, and Coach, we look forward to talking to you again next week, getting ready for the quarterfinals.
Okay, thank you.
Let's take a 3-minute timeout. When we come back, we shift focus to Tony Turner and the Lady Ravens. Don't go anywhere. We're back in 3 minutes here on US 98 and the Red Ravens Sports Network. facto here on US 98 and the Red Raven Sports Network, live from Wendy's in downtown Coffeyville. Appreciate them for having us as we get ready for this Region 6 tournament coming up, and another big win for the Lady Ravens last night over the Barton Cougars. 89-55 the final, and they lock up that 3 seed. They will go into the tournament and will play the winner of Seward County and Pratt on Tuesday night. Tony Turner good enough to join us here for the back half of the show. Coach, congrats on the win last night, and obviously I know we talked about it a little bit before the game, but a position now where you get to relax this weekend, recover a little bit, and your girls have earned themselves a home playoff game in the quarterfinals. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, they deserve it. You know, they've been working hard all year, and they've come a long ways, and this is a much-needed time to kind of relax and get ready for the next opponent.
Coach, a little bit of a slow start, I felt like, for the offense last night. Narika hit some tough shots, but felt like there was a little bit of kind of inconsistency in that opening quarter. It was tied after 1, but then 3 straight quarters, 25, 27, 24. Shot the 3 very well last night, 13 made threes. It just felt like the ball moved around a lot better after that opening quarter. What did you see, and did you say anything in that end of first quarter timeout that kind of got this offense going a little bit?
You know, we're talking about we use the term 2-second reads, and get the ball moving and get them chasing this. And I thought as after the second, third, and fourth quarter, we got them chasing us a little bit, and we were able to get some easy opportunities and get some good rhythm shots.
Absolutely, and I think obviously I talked about it with Coach McBride last night. He's a former point guard, so I know she knows the importance of assist-to-turnover ratio, but a team that's had their struggles at times this year with turnovers, Coach, and we've talked about it. 20 assists last night, only 6 turnovers against a Barton defense. That is by no means a pushover defense. Has to be very encouraging for you and your staff to see that the last game before the playoffs, that this team can play high-level offense and be efficient and protect the basketball.
Yeah, that's just from growth. We got some young point guards, and they're growing up, and they're no longer freshmen anymore. And I thought our team valued the ball more, like I said, with just moving it with some pace and making some ball fakes, using the tools we work on in practice. I thought it just showed that we got a very coachable team that works extremely hard, that just understands the system.
Coach, I think as we've talked about, and I know a theme that you've said maybe on every coach's show this year is we coach all 13 of them. And I think as this year's gone on, especially over the last month, we've seen that start to reap its benefits, because this second team in 6 through 11, 6 through 13 have been great in the last month or so. Not that your starting 5 hasn't, but 14 from Aspen Clarkson, 3, 4, 5, only 1 turnover from Etchison. I thought she played great last night. Then you have 13 off the bench from Camry Johnson. You have another really strong performance from off the bench. Ava Baker hits a 3 late in that game. Just, Coach, it feels like this second team, and I even hesitate calling them the second team at this point, because I feel like that's kind of discrediting their talent. But you can tell they're comfortable when they come in, and they're starting to make big plays for you in big games.
No, they're stepping up. And, after one game, I asked myself, why are you guys coming here nervous and not ready to make some plays and play how you play? And I said, you guys guard some of the better kids in the league every day, so you should be able to step up and make just – no offense to anybody else's program, but I think we have some pretty good players that they battle against every day. I feel like we have a pretty good defense. We do a lot of good things, and I'm like, just go out and play the game and just relax and have some fun. And I think since that talk, they've been playing so much better and handling their business.
Well, and Coach Herc made a great point earlier in the show that 30 games in a year, yeah, you may throw in a wrinkle here and there to maybe catch an opponent off guard, but you're not really learning much new stuff at this point of the year. It's polish, and it's getting shots up. And obviously, with all these freshmen, like you just said, freshmen don't exist anymore. And to have 30 games under your belt and all these practices and learning the playbook and learning the system, I mean, everybody going out there now, I mean, it's just do what you've done for 6 months.
Yeah, just one thing about, some of us coaches, we try to do too much and we out-coach ourselves, and sometimes just keep it simple. Keep it simple, and those kids will adjust, your general rules, how we guard, what our expectations are on the offensive end. Now just go and play basketball. And, got a lot of great coaches in this league that study you, and you just got to play and be disciplined.
Coach, Regina Donanu played great out in Great Bend, had 24 points, hit some big shots in that fourth quarter to force overtime. Held her to 2 of 15 shooting last night and 5 points. Obviously, she's a great player, so she still found a way to make an impact with 5 rebounds, couple assists. But like I talked about with Coach Herkin slowing down Dre Kindle, to find a way to neutralize a player of that caliber is not just great for that game, but it also gives your defense a whole lot of confidence going into the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, she's a very talented player, and I thought our players did a really good job, and our coaches did a good job of breaking down the scout and just figuring out her tendencies, and I know those freshmen, again, like I said, they're freshmen, and they just learning how to study this game, and they studied her and figured out what her go-to plays were, and I thought they did an excellent job last night of containing her because she's a very talented guard. I mean, she can score at all three levels. She's quick, she's strong, and those girls stepped up and did a great job on her.
No question about that. Coach, I know a big theme this year from you, and every time we talk to Coach McBride, is rebounding and putting emphasis on winning the rebound battle. And now here we sit in the last two Wednesday night games at Nellis Hall. You've won the rebound battle against Seward County and Barton, two of the best rebounding teams in this league over the last few seasons. And that's again, we're at the point of the year, Coach, where obviously it's great to look at a box score and see what won an individual game, but it's also about building confidence. And this team now, with the way they've played in the last two games at Nellis, know they can win the rebound battle against really good rebounding teams.
Yes, that's one point of emphasis. You know, if we're not rebounding in practice, we get those boards out and say, come on, go get that board, give you a little reminder to find a body, block out. We want to keep our opponents to one and done. And I think we're doing with us being a little undersized, I think we do a really good job. And we have bigger guards that get in there and mix it up with us, and that helps out a lot when you're playing against the teams like the Bartons and the Sewards that are big and crash the boards hard. I mean, it goes a long ways when you believe in that.
Coach, I want to talk really quick before we shift focus, obviously, to the region tournament. But it was sophomore night last night for this program, and we talked a little bit before the game about what the sophomore class has meant to you and to this team. But an awesome opportunity, Coach, where at the end of the game last night, everybody that played a minute for you scored a point. So for all those sophomores in their final game to get a bucket at Nellis Hall in front of the home fans, I mean, that's a special memory for this program.
No, those sophomores have been great leaders. You know, they've been bringing those freshmen right along with them, and just to continue what we do here and just what we stand by. You know, hard work, being one family, and they've been really good at buying in and getting all our players involved and just being good leaders. I mean, on and off the court. I mean, they practice on time. I mean, they talk. They're reminding each other of I'm a big guy about tucking your shirt in and being on time, no jury, and they remind each other of that stuff. And it just goes. They know what we expect, and it's good. It's been good. It makes our job a lot easier.
Well, and I don't want to obviously discredit anything that this team has done this year, but I think we talked early in the season, especially in non-conference, it's fair to say there were a lot of question marks surrounding this team. A lot of new players, Narika's had an all-conference caliber season, but she was a transfer from, the D2 level. She was the freshman of the year there, but we didn't really know what she was going to bring. We didn't know what these freshmen were going to bring and how quick they were going to bring it. We didn't know what, some of these other pieces were going to do on a night-to-night basis, and they've answered a lot of those questions. But, Coach, I think that sophomore class is maybe the biggest reason why they've answered so many of those questions, because you mentioned, obviously, bringing those freshmen along, and there's so many freshmen that are big parts of this team, and a big part of that is because the sophomores, threw them right into the fire and got them ready to go to chase a championship, and now you have that opportunity.
Oh, we definitely feel like we overachieved so far, and I'll stand behind it. I think we still have another gear, and hopefully that gear can come out on Tuesday night, and we can ride that gear on into the Region 6 tournament, in the third round actually, and try to go and win this region and get to that national tournament and go see what we can do. And this team is, like I said, they've been working extremely hard. They've been sticking together. I mean, it's been good for us.
And I'm curious your thoughts on this. I know that maybe this doesn't cross your mind too much, but the last 2 years going into the region tournament, you had not, the teams you ended up matching up with, you had not beaten Dodge City that year. You had not beaten Hutchinson that year last year. And then you go into this one. I know that obviously Butler got you both times, but both were close games. And I know that you don't feel like that Butler is, miles ahead of this program. You feel like a few things go your way, and the outcome is different. But you've beaten Dodge. You've beaten Hutch. You've beaten Barton. You've beaten Cali. You've beaten, all these top teams in this league that are right in the same boat as you, chasing a championship. And I wonder if that gives you as a coach and maybe the players a little bit of confidence going into the tournament of, we can beat anybody because we've proven we can beat anybody.
Yeah, I feel like we can beat anybody in this conference. We just got to stay out of our own way, and that's what I told them today after our practice. We had a little short practice, a little shooting. We left on Thursdays, and I said, ladies, if we'll just stay out of our own way and just trust the system and trust each other and continue doing those things, staying humble, they're coming. There's a lot of great coaches in this league, and they're coming. I mean, they're not going to – they're going to chip on their shoulder and say, hey, they've already beat us twice, and they're going to – we beat them once. They beat us once. But no, we got to get to the grind and work hard and stay and come in that game with some confidence. I always say come to the game with some swag, come with some confidence. Go out there and play with a chip on your shoulder, and we got to go play with a chip on our shoulder and go in there and show that we can do this.
I think Coach Herc made a great point earlier in the show where we were talking about, obviously, I know you and him had a conversation, and on both brackets, but especially on that men's bracket, I mean, that top 5-6 teams in the league is about as good as it gets anywhere in America, where you have Cali at 1, you have Coffeyville 2, Barton 3, Hutch 4, Butler 5, Garden City's in that mix. I don't care who gets to Hayes, Coach. It's going to be 4 dang good basketball teams that get to Hayes. But I think it's the same way to look at it on this side of the bracket where, yeah, we can sit here and say to win a championship in this league, you're probably going to have to get through Hutch. You're probably going to have to get through Dodge. Those are great teams led by great coaches, but at the same time, for Dodge to win a championship, they probably got to get through you. For Hutch to win a championship, they probably got to get through you. And I think it kind of goes both ways now where it's like, yeah, it's going to be tough to get there, but it's going to be tough for everybody else as well.
Oh, yes, we all got to work. It's going to be a grind, and I love it. I love these big-time games, these big-time moments. I like playing against the big dogs and going as soon as we can do and stepping up and making plays, man. Like I said, we all going to make a little adjustments and fine-tune little parts of what we do. But no, it's fun. That's what I do this job for, these big-time moments.
No doubt about it. Lady Ravens will be the 3 seed as we get the Region 6 tournament started this weekend. We will know their opponent on Saturday night. They will play the winner of Seward County and Pratt on Tuesday night at Nellis Hall. Let's take a quick 3-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll talk more about getting ready for Tuesday and the Lady Ravens' final game at home this year. We're back in 3 minutes here on US 98 and the Red Ravens Sports Network on the Red Raven Coaches Show, here live from Wendy's in downtown Coffeyville. Wendy's in downtown Coffeyville. It's our Red Raven Coaches Show, and we appreciate Wendy's having us each and every week. And the season coming down to the wire. It's time for the playoffs, where every single night the season is on the line. And the Ravens will be at home on Saturday, getting their first round bye. They'll be back at Nellis on Tuesday night for the quarterfinals. And Coach, I talked a little bit with Coach McBride about it last night, but kind of an interesting balance here to find, where obviously great opportunity to get some rest, get some recovery, which I know at this time of the year, I don't think there's any basketball team in America that's fully healthy. But at the same time, obviously, like we talked about with Coach Herc, there's going to be teams that are playing on Saturday that are quality basketball teams that are going to be starting to try and build some momentum for Tuesday nights. What's going to be the key over these next 3-4 days of getting that rest that you've earned with this first round bye, but also staying on your toes, staying ready for what's going to be an intense game on Tuesday?
The plan is we'll go hard, pretty hard these next. Now we'll take tomorrow off, but Saturday, Sunday, we'll get out there pretty good and make it game-like, and work on some of the fine-tuning some of the deficits. And I'll take tonight and tomorrow all day and watch film and figure out what some of our weak spots are. What is the other coaches seeing offensively and defensively, and we'll get after it a little bit and just try to make it more intense and don't let them get laxed. But they won't be real long practices.
Yeah. Well, you made a great point right there, where the teams that are playing in the first round this weekend really kind of just, you got to immediately start, like Seward County and Pratt, they immediately start working on scouting each other. And with this setup now for you and for Dodge and Butler and Hutch, the teams that have the first round bye, you do get to have that 2-3 days where you're waiting to find out who you're playing to focus on you and work on things that you can do better and work on things that you don't do very well, and then get ready for your opponent. Where there's some other teams in this league that just got to get ready for their opponent. Maybe don't have time to fix some of those mistakes. So it's a unique opportunity and a good opportunity in that regard, where you get to focus on Coffeyville for 3 days before you focus on either Seward or Pratt.
Oh, no question. That's what we'll be working on. I mean, that's what I've been while I was watching our game against Seward, watching our game from last night, and just figuring out what we ought to do to be disciplined, some of the things that I'm seeing that we're lacking, and just the communication side of it. And then so we'll get after it on that part and keep them humble. And today in our little shit around, I kind of had to stop and say, hey, we ain't gonna be long, but while we're in here, we're gonna work hard. And just the intensity, I'm an intensity guy all the time. If we're gonna be in there for an hour, we're gonna go for an hour pretty intense. So this is who I am. Absolutely.
Coach, I know that these are two teams in Seward and Pratt that you saw pretty recently. I know that sometimes in the Jayhawk Conference tournament, in the Region 6 tournament, that it works out where I know last year the guys, I believe, played, I can't remember, but they played a team that they hadn't seen since the very beginning of conference play. And then you played Colby, who you had just saw like the week earlier. And now this year you end up playing either a Seward team or a Pratt team. Seward was in Nellis last week. You were in Pratt 2 weekends ago. So it's two teams that you're familiar with, but they're familiar with you at the same time. So it's going to be teams that are trying to kind of make those adjustments, make those tweaks to come out on top in a short time frame.
Yeah, and it's do or die now. So, and then you got nerves coming into play. It's got, travel. Seward has to travel after playing on Saturday. And, it's a lot of factors in there that's coming down the pipe here. And, the main thing is just staying humble, man. And, I know we beat Pratt pretty good, but, they last night they only lost the Cloud by 6 from a team that did beat us in Nellis East. And so, we definitely got to stay humble and just one day at a time, one game at a time, and go in there and ready to survive, survive and advance.
Well, I think you just said the most important thing that's been said all show, and I'm guilty of this at sometimes, because from the broadcaster's point of view, Coach, I mean, it's exciting to look at what could be. It's exciting to look at, oh, wow, it could be Hutch and Coffeyville in the semifinals. It could end up being a rematch of Barton Coffeyville in the semis on the men's side. But you got to handle your business to get there. And on Tuesday night, Coach, there's going to be 8 teams left in this conference, in this region tournament. And if you're one of the top 8 teams in the Jayhawk, you're a good basketball team. And so obviously getting it at Nellis is a huge advantage. Getting a loud Raven crowd is going to be a huge advantage. But you're going to be going up against a team that's a quality basketball team, no matter who it is, which of these two teams, that's well coached. And that's, like you said, going to come into Nellis and want nothing more than to knock off the Ravens and end their season.
No, it's happened to us before, and I don't want to repeat from that. And I felt like we just got lax when that did happen, and we were looking ahead at the next opponent, and we didn't get to go see that next opponent because I used with lack of better words, we got popped, and we just didn't handle our business. And since then, I've always focused on no, we're gonna lock in and get humble, and I'll take part of that blame too, because like I always tell people, when I get lax, they get lax,
yep.
But no, we'll get ready to go for whoever we play on Tuesday.
Absolutely, and I think that we talked my first year here. You had said that the year before, which I think might be the year you're referring to, you had won 5 or 6 in a row going into the region tournament, and then kind of maybe was asleep at the wheel a little bit for the first little bit of that game, and then I think it was Colby that year got some confidence, got some momentum, and as well as I do, the longer a team sticks around in Nellis Hall, the more they think they have a chance. And then I think these last couple of years, obviously I'm not saying that losing's ever a good thing, but you've had a loss late enough in the season, and you have again this year with Dodge, that I think it's kind of got this team fired up. It's got this team wanting to prove something. It's like, okay, we're not going into the tournament winners of 9 in a row and feeling like we're the top dog in this league. We're going into the region tournament having just gotten beat by Dodge in their house, and we want that matchup again, but we got to work to get there.
Yeah, we got to work. We got to get there. We got a little tough path to get there, but we definitely would love to see whoever. I mean, Dodge, Butler, whoever. I mean, but every day is going to be one step at a time, and we did take that loss against Dodge. They played extremely well, and, I think I see where they lost last night to Hutch, and I'm sure they'll be back humbled. They got a little humbled, and they'll have to come and play too. I mean, these coaches will have their teams ready to go, and we'll got to get ready to go in here and grind out.
No doubt. Coach, last thing I have for you is we put a bow on this one, and again, I know everything's hypothetical right now because we got to wait for Saturday to start, but Seward County, one of the potential opponents, when you did see them at Nellis Hall, they were down maybe their best player in Allie Myers, who was not with the team that night. I thought you did a great job with Avery Marchino. You did a great job with Kylie Hunt, slowing them down, but obviously as well as I do, Allie Myers is one of the top forwards in this league, and if it is Seward County, obviously no disrespect to Pratt, but if it is Seward County, that's a player you're going to have to account for.
Oh, she's very athletic. She crashes the boards hard, and you better believe this week, these next days, we'll be doing a lot of rebounding drills and figuring out, we'll break her down and see what her tendencies are to see how she does crash the boards, and definitely we'll be finding a body, just kind of like last night with the big girl from Barton was like, Alexis, I don't care if you get one rebound. You make sure she don't get any rebounds. And I thought Alexis did a good job. I thought our team did a good job on keeping her off the boards. 2 players of the same caliber. Both of them are rebounding machines. And it'd be a good test for us to see if we learned something from last night's game.
No doubt. And with a player like Anuha, in the men's game, a player like Brett Moss, good rebounders are just good rebounders. They're going to find a way to get 8-9 rebounds in a game, but you got to make them earn it. Kind of like we talk about with good scorers, making them, good scorers are going to score 12 a game in this league, 15 a game in this league, but you got to make them work for it. And it's the same thing with good rebounders as well. You've got good rebounders on this team too. Karis, a great rebounder. Alexis is a good rebounder. I think you have good rebounding guards, Coach. I think they get down there and get in the middle of the paint a lot. Obviously, it's going to be a focal point for whoever you play too. They're going to be like, hey, these guys rebound the ball pretty well. So at this time of the year, rebounds, free throws, loose balls, that's what it comes down to.
Yep, the 50-50 balls, free throws. I was a little disappointed in our free throw shooting yesterday, and I always have a little joke. Like I'll see Camden or Camry, I'll say, people from Independence don't miss free throws. Or people from Mississippi don't miss free throws. People from Stillwater don't miss free throws. And we shoot a lot of free throws. And I was just kind of surprised yesterday that we didn't shoot the percentage that I was expecting. But, we'll get it together. We shot a lot today. And, step up and get rid of them nerves and step up and put them in.
Great stuff. Lady Ravens off this weekend. They'll take on the winner of Seward County and Pratt on Tuesday night, looking to punch their ticket to the Final Four in Hayes as we get the region tournament underway. Coach, always great to talk to you. We appreciate it, and we wish you enjoy your first round bye. You and the girls have earned it. We can't wait for Tuesday. I'm already counting down the days.
Well, hey, thank you, Shay. Thank you, and I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the fan support, and just the people out there listening. It's been big for us, and Good. Thank you. Come out and support us on next Tuesday night and come help us win this game. We need all the help we can get.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. It'll be Tuesday night, 5:30 for the ladies, 7:30 for the men. We'll have coverage beginning at 5 o'clock on US 98 and the Red Raven Sports Network. Big thank you to Andrew and Amber here tonight for helping us out with the stream. And we'll talk to you again next time. I'm Shane Neal saying so long from Wendy's, Red Raven Coaches Show here on US 98 and the Red Raven Sports Network. Have a great rest of your night.